Hi, I'm Masa Karkane. My study asks whether a female doctoral student's work-life balance predicts whether she's still enrolled a year later. Doctoral students aren't only students, most are also working, raising families, and paying bills while they're working on their dissertation. The design is quantitative, non-experimental, longitudinal, and correlational. So, persistence takes more than passing classes and finishing dissertation. Espertlik et al. 2018 described doctoral success as completion and achievement plus mental, physical, motivational, and social well-being. And attrition is high. So Young et al. 2019 put it at 36 to 51% across major US academic fields. Living costs a student the time, money that they already spend, and it usually cost her something even emotionally too. So I want to know whether perceived work-life balance predicts persistence a year out, whether online and on-campus students differ, and whether balance still matters once employment, caregiving, and demographics are in the model. So that's a brief introduction. Moving on to literature synthesis and the gap. So my framework is the holistic model of resources from Acharya and Rajendran 2023. They split what students draw on into personal resources like motivation and resilience and contextual resources like supervisors, family, and university policy. That fits my study because work-life balance is a resource condition, not a scheduling skill. There's also design problem in this literature. Hutardo et al. 2024 found that 78% of persistence studies were cross-sectional and only 9% integrated categories broadly. So nobody has tested balance against a verified enrollment outcome a year later for this group. So now moving on to research design and methodology. Perceived work-life balance is the independent variable. One-year persistent is the dependent variable. Program format is the moderator. Employment, caregiving age, first generation status, and international student status are covariates. So why this design? Because nothing is manipulated and nobody is assigned to a condition. Balance is measured at baseline and persistence one year academic later. I also identified three limitations. One is volunteers may skew towards students who already feel balanced. Two, samples comes from only one university, which limit how far findings extend. And lastly, correlation design establishes association, not cause. So moving on to research questions and hypothesis. So first question is, does work-life balance predict one-year persistence? The null hypothesis is no statistically there is no statistically significant relationship between work-life balance and being staying enrolled after a year. And the alternative hypothesis is higher balance scores are associated with a greater likelihood of persistence. The second question is, does program format change that relationship? Online may offer flexibility, campus closer access to faculty and peers. And alternative hypothesis says format significantly moderates the relationship. And the null hypothesis it says that format does not significantly moderate the relationship. And the third question is, does work-life balance remain a significant predictor when accounting for employment, caregiving, age, first-generation status, and international student status? The null hypothesis is it does not remain significant once covariates enter the model. And the alternative hypothesis is says it remains a significant positive predictor. So these are the questions. Now moving on to data collection analysis. So I would recruit about 200 female doctoral students across several disciplines through university emails, doctoral student organization, and the learning management system. The baseline survey runs 10 to 15 minutes. 5 point Black-red item cover workload, employment, and family demands, personal time, sleep, stress, and perceived ability to manage doctoral responsibilities a year later. Doctoral responsibilities. A year later, I check enrollment. If they still enrolled or graduated, counts as persisting. Permanently withdrawn or inactive counts as non-persisting. Approved temporary leaves gets reviewed separately to find out what's the causing. If it's medical, it's just putting out of the sample. If it's something else, we'll see if we can categorize it as non-persisting, persisting, or just putting out of the sample. So I would pilot this with 10 to 20 students and report Chromebox alpha for each scale. The outcome is yes or no. So the analysis is binary logistic regression in three models. So model one is only um, um, like checking work-life balance alone. Then format adds and the interaction adds to the model, and then the covariates adds to the model. So results come back as odds ratios with 95% confidence intervals and p-values. So moving on to ethical considerations. So number one, IRB approval is secured before any data are collected from participant. Number two, informed consent. So consent is obtained before the baseline survey, and participation is voluntary throughout the whole process. Number three is permission for record linkage. So baseline responses are linked to enrollment records only with participant permission. Number four, confidentiality by coded ID. So coded student study identification numbers connect baseline and follow-up data rather than a student's name. Number five, careful outcome coding. So coding matters a lot in this case because it's based on yes or no outcome. So cases, for example, for cases of approved temporary leave should be reviewed separately rather than just immediately coded as withdrawal. And number six, acknowledge response bias. Like I mentioned in under limitation, because participation is voluntary, students who feel more balanced may be more likely to respond. So this is also like a limitation in this study. So moving on to conclusion and significance. So what's difference here is, so most work-life balance research in this area measures satisfaction or stated intent to continue. This study measures whether students were still enrolled a year later. So I'm checking like a quantitative um, uh, parameter rather than just qualitative self-expression. So a student can be organized and still be working full time, raising kids, watching the money, and be short on academic support. So meaning that discipline doesn't fix the issue. So if balance predicts persistence, university have something to act on, like flexible scheduling, virtual support, writing groups, mentoring, clearer leave policies. And if format moderates it, like online and on-campus students may need different supports rather than more of the same. So these are the contribution in practice and theory. I'm very looking forward to work on this projects, and these are the references I have used for this proposal. Thank you for your attention and time.